So, culture. Do you wanna chit chat about what this is? What
Wow.
this
Okay,
filing is, and what it reveals?
so okay, so recently, and this is an amazing story, by the way. John F. Trent wrote it for That Park Place, and Disney released something they have to do annually. It's basically a statement of risks, et cetera. It's a 10K, and they just released it. It's almost a week old now. And this particular thing kind of highlighted and delineated where they see their shortcomings and where their primary risk factors are. Well, they've kind of
As
nailed
a
it here.
business. Risk
Yeah.
factors as a business.
Yeah, and they've kind of nailed it here because they know that everything is driven by the content they produce, whether it's television or film, primarily film, that drives all of their other elements of business, which include obviously theme parks and cruise lines and all the other things, because everything else is downstream from that. So, in this particular quote, and I'll let you have a much prettier reading voice, Mr. H, but
Well, it says, we face risks relating to misalignment with public and consumer tastes and preferences for entertainment, travel, and consumer products, which impact demand for our entertainment offerings and products and the profitability of any of our businesses.
yes,
We don't know what people want.
exactly.
Misaligned.
But it's even worse. It's even worse because in the next part, this is crazy.
God. Our businesses create entertainment, travel, and consumer products whose success depends substantially on consumer tastes and preferences that change in often unpredictable ways. The success of our businesses depends on our ability to consistently create compelling content, which may be distributed, among other ways, through broadcast, cable, theatres, internet, or mobile technology, and used in theme park attractions, hotels, and other resort facilities and travel experiences and consumer products.
So what again, all they're saying is
Oh, guess
everything
what here? It's
relies
this part.
on content that we make that people consume because it will drive their purchase and their involvement in all of the other aspects of our business. There you go.
Was it this part? I don't think it was. I think it was the next part.
Yeah.
There's a fascinating part of this. It says, "This is our business."
Yes.
Yeah. So the success of our businesses therefore depends on our ability to successfully predict and adapt to changing consumer tastes and preferences outside as well as inside the US. Moreover, we must often invest substantial amounts in content production and acquisition of sports rights, launch of new sports related studio programming, theme park attractions, cruise ships or hotels, and other facilities or customer facing platforms. Before we know the extent to which these products will earn consumer acceptance, and these products may be introduced into a significantly different market or economic or social climate from the one we anticipated at the time of the investment decisions. And that part there I think is important. Social climate, right? Keep that in mind, guys, when we get off to the next bit.
Oh boy.
Generally, our revenues and profitability are adversely impacted when our entertainment offerings and products, as well as our methods to make our offerings and products available to consumers, do not achieve sufficient consumer acceptance. Further, consumers' perceptions of our position on matters of public interest, remember that social climate bit? Including our efforts to achieve certain of our environmental and social goals, often differ widely and present risks to our reputation and brands. Park that. Consumer tastes and preferences impact among other items, revenue from advertising, blah, 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 blah. Just, you're a company, Disney. You are, in effect, my dancing fucking monkey. There are no social goals you should have as a business. Fucking dance for me, monkey. Entertain me, monkey. And I'll throw my dollar bills at you. That is all you are there for. You entertain me like a court jester, like a fucking imp. That's all you do. You dancing monkey bitch. And yet, they have social goals.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tom would probably prefer you to, throwing the money out at a strip club, but same thing.
Fascinating stuff. So, yeah, a conclusion.
Strippers don't like it when you ask for change, by the way.
Did you finish it? I don't think you finished the paragraph, but
oh, God, is there more? Yeah, probably is.
It's fine. But regardless, the biggest impact here is to the investing community broadly, because this is a statement that's made to serious investors who pay attention, who are active investors, not passive investors, like people who hold mutual funds and 401ks and so on and so forth. These are people who actually pay attention when they purchase stock. They know that the company is supposed to represent the best possible opportunity to earn revenue and to grow the company, increasing the stock value, which is called fiduciary duty. One of the biggest problems here is that Disney is freely admitting that their goals don't necessarily align with fulfilling their fiduciary duty. And again, this is something that I would say should put Disney in harm's way, not only with investors, but also with the financial regulations here in the United States. They should be held accountable for their lack of fiduciary duty, because their performance is been negatively impacted, of course, over the last 3 years specifically, because of their political alignments and their practices leaking into an entertainment business, which has no business in professing any particular ideology or political direction, because you're alienating the people that are going to consume your content. And you don't have to look very far other than their television offerings, the fact that their streaming growth in the United States have fallen off a cliff, and the fact that nobody is going to see their movies. Pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, that what you just said there, basically, culture, and that headline we were just looking at is an admission that I don't think people, or at least some people anyway, might not realize how deep that really is going. That's them admitting that we fucked up. We have fucked up. We have literally fucked ourselves so badly that now even us, Disney, have to kind of change course, right? And this is what's going to basically set off the final kids. Get ready now, because this is what I've been predicting for a long time. All these wokes now that are in these companies now, once they start realizing what they mean by these statements, if they're actually standing by doing these things that they're saying, are going to start freaking the fuck out. And culture, you can probably explain why.
Go ahead. You're on a roll.
All right. Well, fuck it. I'll say it. Because they will be told, no, you cannot interject your bullshit any fucking longer. No, we are not going to alienate the fucking audience. No, we're not going to have a gay, non-binary, Blasian fucking princess take over for Snow White. Okay. It's just not going to fucking happen anymore, because guess what? Nobody fucking wants it. Nobody. And I don't remember who the lady was from Paramount who said it, but she said it so brilliantly. We have to start remembering in Hollywood that there are people out there that are beyond LA and New York, right? They have forgotten that there is a bigger country, a much bigger country than just those two fucking cities, right? And sure, those little patches here and there throughout the country of those little cities, but guess what? When you take a look at that map from a broader angle, they're a lot more smaller than you realize. And there's a lot more people, and this is why their fucking seats are empty, because they have said, fuck you. We're not going to take our family to this. As Culture was saying before, we cannot trust you anymore to not indoctrinate our children with some nonsensical bullshit that we don't need them learning right now, no matter what istophobe you want to call me. And you're getting a lot more people who are just getting to the point where they're like, yeah, fine. If that's what you want to call me, I am that. They're getting to the point where they're not even afraid anymore of this shit. Like, this has kind of been a prime example of what I've been dealing with the last couple of days online. It's like, go ahead, call me that. If it pisses you off, I'll own it. I don't give a fuck at this point, because you made us this way. And this is the other thing that I've been talking about that I've noticed with my kid and other people in his generation. They are rejecting the shit wholesale. But not only rejecting it wholesale, there's a problem. This bullshit is creating a whole new generation of people who are not going to be accepting of people like this anymore. So what they have done is now turned a whole generation of people against any idea that you are non-traditional anymore. So you have gone and created exactly what you're trying to fight against. What would never existed before at this point, which was just a small, minute part of the actual population. You have now multiplied because of your fucking whiny ass, pussy ass, fucking snowflake bullshit.
Yep.
And it's getting sickening. My kid is a prime example of it. He is tired of it. He doesn't understand why he can't just be a guy and be into things that guys are into. Even though, he got to a point where, I think he's not even part of some of the main school stuff because he was in special, schools because he's disabled. But like he even started coming home talking about non-binary shit and all this crap. And I just got to a point where I'm like, all right, whatever. It's like, can't even keep it out of special schools now. Like, what the hell? These kids can barely get through a day to try and do math and all the other regular subjects. It's like, no wonder that these students are rejecting this shit. They're like, we just want to learn. Right? We just want to know how to fucking function in life. We don't care about all this other crap. It's not something that's going to help put food on our tables.
And see, this is why I wanted Tom to finish. But it's true.
You sent me on a roll.
That, ladies and gents, is why we often get demonetized. So if you want to check in some super chats, please do.
Yes. But look, Tom's 100% right, and again, I think that they are creating bigger monsters than existed. That I think Tom's
100% they are 100%.
And I don't know what their ultimate goal was, because now you actually have people that are focusing on, okay, how do we have traditional civilization again? How do we have traditional marriages? How do we have a traditional society?
Well, you can't. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, quite frankly. Not massively outside the bounds of what we talk about on this podcast, but you can't really, because society is developed in such a way now where you say, what good's a guy? Majority of people on the street would say they're not good for anything, and you're like, bitch, they fucking made the floor you are walking on right now.
Yes. Yeah.
They literally made every single piece of infrastructure around you. You should respect them. And, when people are like, oh, men control everything and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, they don't. Like in a traditional society, the highest value individual in a traditional society is women. Men do absolutely everything for women in a traditional society. They value them so highly. They're like, no, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do this. And I often find it comical as well in modern day societies, as women are like, I want to be a boss babe, I want to go out and work. What, for some faceless CEO cunt that doesn't like you, when you could sit at home, work, essentially doing housework for a man that loves you? I mean, if there was a male equivalent of that, I would do that. That'd be great. Like, that'd be brilliant. But no, traditional society you can't have nowadays. You're not allowed it. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're 100% right. And that's just kind of like a primordial thing built in our system, right? Like the whole idea of, because women, can only create life every 9 months. As to where men, we can procreate anytime, any place, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's why it's built in our system, plus just the way we are through nature. Like, there's the hunter-gatherers part of it. There's the nurture, other side of it that, you have in the nesting side of it, that the female generally tends to. Now, is there variations? Yes. Nobody's saying there's not. Nobody's saying there's anything. And I guarantee you, I can speak for everybody on this panel where we have no problem with anybody who has, a different sexual preference, is a different color, any of that kind of stuff. That has never been a fucking problem. The problem is interjecting this shit into fantasy genres where it doesn't belong, in ways that it doesn't belong, and in children's entertainment specifically.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing is I don't understand why we're even having this fucking debate. Like, some of this stuff I can understand, but when we get to the nitty gritty of this shit, like, how are we even having a debate where Disney is being in a position where the problem is they have too much of this kind of crap in their. I never thought of that. I never thought we'd get to that point. Like, Disney, and this just goes with the whole idea of it, right? Is that Disney has always meant wholesome family entertainment. It was even a verb, or whatever you want to call it. You Disney-fied it, right?
Yeah. Look at this.
You know what I mean?
Disney right here, mate.
That's Disney now?
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
Makeup Boy in the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder on Disney.
Oh, I'd love to have to explain that to a 6-year-old.
That's the other problem, right? And Disney is complicit in indoctrination because they will hide that episode until you're 2 or 3 deep in. Maybe even they'll hide it for half a season before they start to drop the propaganda into the show, because they want the parents to let the television babysit the kid, the streaming service babysit the kid. The problem is you can't do that anymore. And that's why Disney's brand and reputation is damaged, because nobody trusts them. And I have been saying this was becoming a problem going back to when I started my channel. I was like, these are the things I'm observing. This is the problem, and this is what will happen. The problem is now we've gotten to the point where this is what has happened. It's now history. What I said was going to happen, and we're on the threshold of a whole lot of other problems that nobody's processing through right now, but they're starting to. And that's the worst position Disney could be in, or any of these other entertainment companies, because now you have a very wide aware group of people that is growing every single day.
There you go, ladies and gents.